Hello and welcome to Portsmouth This Week. I'm your host, Conley Zani. This show is under the auspices of Rich Rayner, our Portsmouth Town Administrator. Together, Rich, myself, and the entire Portsmouth This Week team are on a mission to build community. We do that by bringing you accurate and timely information about the events and the people and the places that impact you. We introduce you to the personalities, the leaders, the amazing people in this magical place that we live. And I am so honored today to have as my guest Mary DeBara from the Portsmouth Garden Club. Mary, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You know, spring is in the air. I'm starting to think about gardening. I'm so glad that you offered to come and be on the show. And I really just kind of want to let our viewers know what the Garden Club is all about.
Okay.
So maybe lay the groundwork for us.
Well, the Portsmouth Garden Club has been in Portsmouth for almost 90 years. We're celebrating our 90 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
Our mission has, programs have changed, but our mission has been pretty much the same through that 90 years.
Okay.
And we have members from primarily Portsmouth, but our club does allow members from other towns, Middletown and Newport, if they so choose. The percentage has to be, you know, from Portsmouth because it is the Portsmouth Garden Club. But we come together and we have sort of three main purposes. As a membership organization, people join it because they have a love of gardening and flowers. Yeah. So the first part of the, I call it the stool, if you will, the legs of the stool, is that we are there to nurture and encourage the talents of the members who are there.
Yeah.
And that relates to part two, which is education. So we are formally and informally an educational group as well. We educate our members through our programs and through the various other activities that we do.
Like what kind of education? Like this would be at a meeting? I'd get some education at a meeting?
Absolutely. Every meeting there's the business part of the meeting where we discuss
always
how much
how
much money we have or don't have. Exactly. So we have, but half of the meeting is devoted to a program, and it could be there's a variety of programs, including, well, certainly about gardening, you know, composting and specific, you know, vegetable gardening, flower gardening, how to do a hummingbird garden, how to attract bees, and floral design is also part of it. So we have floral design workshops, demonstrations as part of the meeting sometimes and outside of the meetings as well. Yeah. So we'll do floral design as well.
What's been your favorite most recently? Maybe they're all your favorites. I can see you're into it all, clearly.
I am into it all. My personal favorite, I really love the design piece of it. I do love the garden. I have a wonderful garden that I've learned so much through the Garden Club. I did not grow up, you know, gardening or doing that kind of thing, but I really have developed this, you know, latent love and talent, you know, maybe a little bit of talent, I don't know about that part of it, but certainly love of floral design. And we're very lucky at the club and through the Rhode Island Federation of Garden Clubs, which we're a part of, to have really, really fantastic designers who are just, some of them, you know, all over the country have won awards and are judges at various other clubs, and they are mentors to us. The Federation runs design workshops, and we're fortunate enough to have one of those women in our club, and so external to what we do with the Federation, she runs design workshops for us. So
when you say design, does that mean I'm designing a garden, or I'm taking my flowers and I'm making a design for a centerpiece? That's
a good question. It's really a centerpiece.
Oh, okay.
It's really a centerpiece, and there are lots of different ways you can go depending on your interests. So there's what we think of as, you know, traditional design, where, you know, probably, you know, French design and just
some symmetric thing.
Symmetrical. It has, you know, lots of flowers in it. there's another way to go with design, what they're calling creative design, and that's when you get into a little bit more of the arts and crafts of mechanics of the structures, that will support the flower.
How to put it together and support it in these.
And minimal flowers. So it's, it's just the range, and people, will gravitate toward one or the other, but we have the opportunity to learn that from.
So you have a very talented expert amongst your group that does this?
We do. And
wow, that's awesome. I'm sure just the talent, I think I'm always struck at how much talent we have in Portsmouth.
That's right.
In general, on all of these little niches, and that's very cool.
And I think an important, so we feed our members, if you will, with education and again, as I said, nurture their interests and talents. Yeah. But a really, really important part of what we do, that third leg of the stool, so to speak, is community service. And that has been from day one. So what does that look like? Well, in one way, we have gardens that in town, we're very interested in the beautification of Portsmouth. Yeah. And we see this very much as a public-private partnership that I
occasionally see as I drive by some of these places, some people with their heads down in the dirt.
You do.
That's you guys.
That's us. You ordinarily wouldn't see our faces. I always joke around, people are seeing our backsides as we're bent. Then, for those of us who are older, sometimes it's a challenge for us to get up from that position, but anyway.
I think you need to create some funny T-shirt or something that just highlights that image right there.
Yeah. So we have basically 3 gardens now that we maintain for the town of Portsmouth. We design and support.
Okay. What 3 are those?
So the town hall,
which
is also Legion Park, and in that small park, there's a bus stop there, but we have, and there are 2 memorials, veterans memorials, a World War I and a World War II memorial, and there's this beautiful, tree in Legion Park, so right in front of Town Hall, and all of the gardens around the memorials and under the trees were designed and are maintained by the Portsmouth Garden Club. So you'll see beautiful rose bushes, and other plantings that are appropriate.
So, how many people are doing that? Like, I'm a non-gardener. I tend to kill plants. I'm embarrassed to say. So I have no sense of how much work this is. Is it like a daily thing? Is it how many people?
We have, so it depends on the size of the garden. Legion and the library garden, which I'll talk about as well, but we have a volunteer group of we have 45 members of our garden club, and of that, we have about 12 to 15 dedicated to more or less to Legion Park. Yeah. So we develop a watering schedule. We get together to do cleanups.
It's a little divide and conquer kind of
Absolutely.
thing.
And then we have a group at the library. Yeah. So if you see the beautiful, as you come into the library, the beautiful plantings, and the library garden is really, really interesting because because it's in a sunny spot, we can do these beautiful annuals, and it's just gorgeous. And the woman who really spearheads that is just, and her team has done a great job. So she has about about a half a dozen. And then we recently, almost across the street from the library, there was this really sad-looking piece of land. I think the state owned it. And there was an opportunity for us
by the church.
By the church, so it's St. Paul's Episcopal.
Right, and the Art Guild is right there.
And the Art Guild, and we took this little parcel of land that was in front that was just horrible.
Yeah, that was kind of no man's land, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
So we've taken over that garden, and it's a memorial garden for one of our members who's deceased, and her husband, and who also belonged to the Episcopal Church. Okay. So in that instance, we have members of the church as well as members of our club to continue to do the maintenance of that garden. So
so it sounds like there's sort of a team captain for each garden. Is that kind of how it's organized? I'm sure you don't call them team captains.
No, but that's basically what it is. And I remember I've done it long enough now that I work at the Legion Park Garden, and one of our biggest challenges was the water source. So we used to have to hook our hose up from the town hall, in front of the town hall, cross the street,
like Headley there, right? Yeah.
Cross Headley, and just well, before we even had the hose, we used to have to fill up buckets of water literally and travel across. And then we graduated toward the hoses, but the hoses would get run over by people who were going on Headley Street. Yeah. And so we petitioned the town to get us a water source. So now, which is great, and I'd like to talk about the town, because the town every year gives us a small grant to help to maintain that space.
And is this part of they do some, I think they call them community grants, and you guys are part of that? Is that what you mean?
I don't know under what pot, but basically every year we do get a portion of that.
That's
and
nice.
one year it was to get the water source, so that really made a huge difference for us. So,
well, I'm sure it sounds like a win-win, or really you guys are the ones giving to the town.
It's really it really is wonderful, and so the gardens are an important part of what we do in terms of the community service, but that's not all. We also at Christmas time do all of the wreaths that you see on the police station and the fire department.
Really?
We design, and we at Public Works, everybody gets a wreath every year.
Where on earth do you put those together? Like, how does that happen?
Actually, the library.
Really?
That's another partnership that we have. The Portsmouth Library gives us space in their boardroom, so that's where we meet, that's where we do our programs, but that's where we also do some of our work. So we, design wreaths. They've been a wonderful partner, not only donating space, but we do joint programs with them. We're hoping they want to really expand their services to the older adults. And we raised Carolyn, who is the head librarian.
Who is amazing.
Do you know,
so just last week on Portsmouth This Week, we interviewed the children's librarian, Olivia Seymour, who just had so many amazing things to say about, I guess, her boss, Carolyn, who
Carolyn
really is turning that library into a bit of a community center.
Well, that's exactly it. So she's written a grant to the Rhode Island Foundation. We haven't heard yet, but it was specifically for outreach to older citizens, which again has been part of our tradition. We have done work with the senior center and with Atria, assisted living facility. So this was a natural for us. So we're hoping that we can work with Carolyn and the library to do some programs, and we yet to be determined for that.
That is great.
Yeah.
And it is all about partnerships, right?
It is.
I mean, that's how all of these, nonprofits will survive. I feel so honored and privileged to be in this position, hosting this show where we bring in a lot of the nonprofits in Portsmouth, and that is a theme that runs through all of the interviews about how these partnerships are important, and you find people that the missions align.
They do.
Right? And then together we can serve, we can just enhance how we serve this community, right?
That's what it's all about. When when Aquidneck Land Trust has their fundraiser, we're donating things to that because we understand the importance of that. When the dog park was, they had their fundraiser, we donated. When Portsmouth Library has its fundraiser, the Taste of Portsmouth, we design a number of floral arrangements which are auctioned off. We have a joint fundraiser with the Portsmouth Library coming up, which is our plant sale. On June,
tell us about that. So
June 3rd at the library, we will have
all the plants you need for the whole shebang.
Annuals, perennials, and gardening items, and gardening books, and we will share the proceeds of that sale. So it's really, really neat. And I just heard recently that, and again, talk about partnerships. Green Animals Topiary Green Animals will donate some of their plants to our sale.
So great. I love
so
that.
it is. It's the only way that it should. It's the way that it should work.
Right.
And it does.
And it does work that way. I really find the spirit of cooperation and you know, it doesn't feel like anybody's competing with one another. They're working together.
They are.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. So you've got these 3 big garden projects. Are you looking to expand, or is that just not in the realm of, I mean, I'm sure you have your business meetings, your treasurer's report, you know what resources you have and the volunteer force that you have. So is there opportunity to expand, or like if I said, hey, I'd really like you to come down to my community center in Common Fence Point, maybe that's not a possibility, or maybe it is, I don't know.
Well, it's really a function of, again, financial resources, and physical, you know, the physical ability, you know, in terms of being able to maintain them.
Yeah. So mostly it's about the volunteer force.
It really is about the volunteer force.
If you don't have that, no matter how much money you got, it's not getting off the ground.
That's exactly it. So our membership is growing. So I certainly don't want to say, given our current numbers, and I would say that I won't say no, because you know, we're always looking for opportunities.
Right. But it's very dynamic.
It really is. But I think that as our membership is growing, I think that we could. I encourage people to approach us, because I'm not going to automatically say no to something. We really take it by case of whether or not we do have the woman power to actually to do it. It's interesting that you mentioned Common Fence and Island Park area, because you know, we theoretically there's some really great spots that we could enhance.
It could make a big difference.
It could make
well,
a big
anyway,
difference.
I just wanted to throw that out for all our viewers, like, because it is really amazing the work that you guys do and how important that is. And I'm glad to have you on the show to just increase the visibility of your organization. Now, you just said woman power. Does that mean there aren't many guys?
There are 0 guys in our club.
What?
No, there are
0 guys.
0 guys. It's a women's. Right now it's a women's organization, not by our charter, but because that's the.
You're looking for guys, though. You would love to have some guys join. Of course, if we have any brave men that would like to join the cause, of course we would welcome them. Sounds kind of like a good idea.
I think it's a great idea. Although I will say that, even though we don't have men officially as members, some of the spouses of our membership are part of the team. They're just not formally in the garden club, but they're helping us with any number of tasks.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, it's interesting. So I do help run the community center in Common Fence Point, and there's a woman, Barbara Jones. I think she might be part of your garden club, but she helps us with just, you know, we have a rain garden that we installed as part of our building redo, and we always, actually tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. there's a big call for any volunteers that want to come out to help with that, and typically it's actually been more men than women that have shown up.
Oh, interesting.
Which sounds like that's a little odd and unique, like given your experience. So I'll take that as a little win. But you mentioned to me earlier that there is a guy, like, so there's the Portsmouth Garden Club, and there are garden clubs all around the state, and so then there's a Rhode Island Federation of Garden Clubs, and one of the guys in charge, there's a guy in charge.
That's it. There's the treasurer. Is the treasurer.
So that's cool.
And that Rhode Island Federation of Garden Clubs is an important link for our garden club and others. Just as we, as an organization, have education as a purpose and community service, the larger organization does as well. So, as members automatically of the Rhode Island Federation, there's power in their educational programs. We can plug into as well, and other projects that they may be doing statewide. A lot of it is handled individually in terms of the community service projects, but they're a resource. They're a resource for us, and the Rhode Island Federation of Garden Clubs the entity. Their biggest fundraiser is the home and garden show, the flower show that just occurred last month.
Okay.
And that's too is a collaboration with the Builders Association in Rhode Island. So it's the home and garden show, and so we meaning the Federation handles the flower show, which is just spectacular.
Yeah. Are you involved in that federation, meaning like a leadership position there?
I'm not officially as president of this garden club. I and other representatives go to the meetings, and we also have volunteer opportunities, you know, but I'm not in a leadership position there.
I'm sure you got your hands full here in Portsmouth.
It
sounds like a big job.
It is a big job. It's a fun job, and you know, I guess I would speak not only for myself but the women that are involved. You know, we were brought together because of a common interest, and so it's, you know, yes, it's work, but it's, you know, literally a labor of love, because this is what we love to do. Yeah. And even the women who are not able to actually get into the ground anymore, you know, they're still connected to something that they love.
And that is what it's all about. I think your organization is doing very important work, especially in this time period right now where everybody needs something to connect on.
Absolutely. I really think it's very important, aside from, you know, the stated mission of our organization, is that connection between and among people. We've got a situation, not only because of, you know, what's happened over this past couple years of isolation. People are isolated and stressed, and, you know, so many things. We could go on and on about that, but organizations like ours provide that, I think, connectivity to one another, and then also to the community. Right. So, you know, whether you're a person that can literally, you know, get her hands in the ground and do something, or whether you're somebody who has the experience to you know, not be able, you know, to basically say, oh, let's, you know, I'm a rose person, and I can tell you how to take care of those roses that you have in Legion Park. Yeah. So there's a place for everyone.
Like all different skills.
All different skills, all different interests.
So even someone like myself that might kill houseplants, there might be something.
I think there's, I think we could work with you. I think we could work with you.
I don't know, I'm a pretty sad case, you know.
But,
that is funny.
You know, it's really wonderful. Yeah. The other place of connectivity in terms of projects is with the tick program, the tick prevention program that we started last year.
And I noticed you brought some stuff. So how is that related to the garden club? And
well, there are women in our group and through the Federation, because we actually labor in what's risky behavior, because we're gardeners, we're connected to the earth. A lot of us have Lyme and other tick-borne illnesses, or we certainly have high exposure, so particularly sensitive to that. But realized through sort of my own personal experience and that with Lyme disease, that Rhode Island is one of the highest. Is one of the top in the top 7 of Lyme endemic areas, and
is that true?
Wow. It is. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's becoming more of a problem. I'd been also reading and hearing about that the ticks are because of warmer winters and wetter winters, that the ticks are surviving. So the proliferation of the tick population is escalating. I won't say exponentially, but it's very serious. And
certainly measurably.
Absolutely. And they're at the beaches. And I had a personal experience with that a couple of years ago when I was walking my dog at the boardwalk at Sandy Point Beach, and he wandered off to smell something, as dogs do, and he was there for maybe 5-10 seconds before I was able to pull him out, and he had more than 30 ticks on him. I could see them because he was a blonde dog.
Just in a matter of kind of seconds.
So I began to think, wow, I was thinking about all those children running around with their little bare feet, and as children do, maybe wandering off somewhere,
Yes, going into the bushes,
and going into the bushes, and they're in the sand now too. So we decided to take on. We applied for a grant and got a grant last year to do tick spraying for non-toxic, environmentally safe spraying in that Sandy Point, the general area of Sandy Point, where most of the people are going to congregate, and we sprayed for ticks during that. And in addition,
that's terrific.
Yeah, it was,
Thank you for doing that.
Well,
so your club did that.
Our club did that.
Wow. Okay.
And because the best way, obviously, is prevention is the key.
Yeah.
And can't really measure prevention, but we know it works. We do know that we could have prevented someone from getting a bite, which means that they could theoretically get Lyme and other diseases.
And you don't wish that on anyone?
Don't wish that on anyone. So we did that, and then we also found out that there are about 60 children in Portsmouth that go to the day camp at Sandy Point, and they're also, they do some things at Glen Park as well.
Yeah.
And so
it's a booming program, as a matter of fact.
It is.
Yeah.
It's really a cool program. And so at the point of entry at Sandy Point, we had tick ID cards. We had.
What's that mean?
Well, we had
you're like, I can show you.
I can show you. They had little cards.
Like identify your tick?
You can identify your tick.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at a card with different drawings of different kinds of ticks here, and that's really important to be able to
it is.
Identify,
and how to do a tick check.
Yep.
Basically, some information about Lyme disease through the Rhode Island Department of Health. We were able to get the Rhode Island Tick Detective Workshop for children to learn more about the ticks, and then there were some things with adults. And we took these packets and gave them to the children that were participating in the day recreation program.
All right, so you created those packets and then distributed them.
Yes, we did. And we're hoping, when I leave here today, May is Lyme Awareness Month, so I'm going over to the Portsmouth Library and taking some of these materials and putting them at the library. So there'll be free materials for people when they come to the library to be able to see and hopefully learn something.
When you walk in there, you should be like, I was just on Portsmouth this week, and you were too. And what a cool partnership.
It is.
Now listen, we've got about a minute left, so
Okay.
I always love to end with a call to action. What do you want our viewers to do?
I would like you to go on our website and explore a little bit more about Portsmouth Garden Club and all the wonderful things that we do.
That's right.
We can always use more volunteers, more members.
Sounds like it. Like that's the backbone.
That's really the backbone. We're a volunteer organization, and we'd love to, in my mind, I'd love to do some more children's programs, reach out to some other populations, perhaps, as you said, take on a little bit more of maybe another garden or so.
That's
and to do that, we need people power.
I love it.
So,
well, Mary, thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
being on the show today, and I really hope you'll come back really soon.
Well, if you'll have me, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
My guest this week was Mary DeBarra, the president of the Portsmouth Garden Club. We'll see you next time on Portsmouth This Week.